and then like sit in a dark room.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be very psychedelic.
Weird shit starts happening.
Yeah. Auditory, just like the thoughts that cross through your head and stuff. Like it's just. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome again to the Deficit Podcast. I'm the host, Adam Aubrey, and our mission statement today is to bring you a stimulation of your own attention deficit through good chats, life hacks, and everything in between. I'm joined today with a good friend of mine. His name is Emilio Rodriguez. He is a jack of all in the world of media arts. I know him to be a very good musician, a very talented director of photography, and he also works within the IATSE 891 as a lighting tech on some of the bigger shows out here in Vancouver. Emilio, welcome to the show.
Howdy. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I appreciate the intro. Freaking love the flair you threw on my name there.
Hey, thanks, man. You know, I try to get the original accents on as much as I can without sounding too white, you know?
I feel you. Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm glad to be here.
I mean, aside from my intro, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, my name's Emilio, aka Senescence. It's my artist name.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to drop that for you. Yeah,
that's fine. It's chill. I do a multitude of different art forms. I like have a YouTube channel. Gonna get going again on Twitch. I produce music, and as a career, I'm a lighting technician in film. And I've been loving doing all that here in the Lower Mainland.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about what you were like? What's a little Emilio like growing up? Let's push you in like start of high school.
Start of high school.
Were you into the arts then?
Ooh, yeah, big time.
Yeah?
Honestly, yeah. From a very, very young age, I was into art. I really attribute my mom to getting me into a bunch of stuff, like just having the film camera around all the time.
Mom.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, but like early high school, it was a bit reserved. I just moved from Alberta to BC, and it was a bit of a shake up for me. And I think I like really went in on like art, like drawing.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of cartoon characters and of course anime characters and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You were in the anime like manga and stuff like that?
Yeah, big time.
Cool.
As much as I could without like proper internet.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
So like when did you was manga the thing that enticed you the most at first? Like were you like me, like growing up watching Pokemon and Dragon Ball and stuff like that?
Yeah, man, big
Sick,
time.
dude.
It was the Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z that got me on that train.
Goku to this day is still my like number one like hero, honestly.
Fuck yeah.
Like even in like real world concepts, just like his attitude of always overcoming any kind of opposition.
Just lighthearted, just keeps going.
Yeah. And you like the thing that always got me about him as a character was that like even his enemies he'd end up trying to befriend afterwards. Like Vegeta.
Always.
Arguably the best character in that entire series. Vegeta.
I was gonna say Vegeta's my man.
Yeah.
He's like,
he's the dude.
A little toxic now that I think of it, but fuck yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. He's the dude, bro, you know? He was just like he's just like, I am the Prince of Saiyans. Like, I am the best. Like, constantly. He's got, like, that mad ego, which is just awesome. But, yeah, like, that was the whole world of anime. They had such unique characters and stuff. Which ones were you? I guess Dragon Ball and Pokemon, you said, right?
Was, like, what started it off. I feel like what really got me into it was probably Death Note when that started airing on, like, Teletoon or whatever. That was, like, the first, like, oh, this could be serious and a little more adult. I was like, okay, cool.
American cartoon companies had no idea what they were putting on when they threw anime up.
No, not at all.
Like Gundam, do you remember Gundam? Is like this whole concept of like mass genocide and war through mech bots. And like
shit's
they're like,
dark.
And they put it on Teletoon for like fucking 10-year-olds to watch.
Yeah.
It's just great. Helps you grow up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So you started off with the manga stuff. Were you drawing manga first before anything?
I would say, honestly, if I'm being totally real, a lot of SpongeBob characters. SpongeBob and Looney Tunes.
Cool. The
Yeah.
Nickelodeon kind of vibe,
Yeah.
eh? Cool.
And then went into like, I still, when I draw now, it's mostly like that anime style type form. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Really cool. So, like, you get into high school. I assume you'd probably been watching those other series for a while.
Yeah.
When did you discover music?
Um,
Or at least your
well,
passion for music, I guess.
passion for music, kind of like a little bit about what we touched on earlier when I was like my buddy Cam
Mm.
he was producing hip hop beats and stuff in high school, probably grade 11 or so, and he was like, "Oh, you should get on a track." And it was kind of like a gag at first. Like, he's a buddy of mine, he wanted me to do it, but I was like just like the super quiet, like really reserved kid, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yo, you should go hard on a track."
Cool.
And then yeah, I wrote some stuff, made a song with him, and then like literally from that point onward, like always had some sort of music design program, like software on my computer, and have like tinkered with it ever since.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool.
I feel like it was only more recently, probably since 2020, where, you know, people had a lot of downtime and
Yeah.
was like really rediscovered my passions for drawing and music and stuff, because it had been a long time since, like, you know, really diving into film kind of
Yeah.
takes over your life.
Yeah, when you first get into film and then you're like, okay, I guess the next 2-3 years I'm just going to dedicate
To
straight
just
to
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15-hour days. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Shit, man, that's nuts. So where did you go to school? Were you saying? Where was that?
Well, high school was out in the Kootenays. So, like, if you know, like, Nelson.
Yeah, I
Trail,
love
yeah.
Nelson. It's
Yeah.
beautiful there.
It's an amazing place. I appreciate it more and more now, like, being away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really unique, like, artistic community out there too, and not just in like the traditional arts either. Like, I noticed I was there with my wife like maybe 4 years ago. We went for a road trip, did the Selkirk Loop, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Went to this like New Denver Garlic Festival, which was awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We left with like 24 pounds of garlic. It was ridiculous. Yeah, and like 12 different varieties. She's like nuts for garlic. It's really strange, but I love her. It works. But in Nelson,
As long
there
as
was
you're
like
both fans.
yeah. In Nelson, there seemed to be a very peculiar like culinary scene. Like,
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
all the food there is like. Am I wrong in assuming that like everything there, at least 80% is like all locally grown and raised, like the meat and the veggies and everything?
I don't know like the percentile, but like there is a lot that is grown in the area.
Mhm.
There's a lot of there is a lot of agriculture around, and I do remember, like, even I didn't go to Nelson that often because like I didn't have a car in high school, but I remember there was a hot sauce that was locally made. Shout out to Zozo's hot sauce.
Sick.
Shit's amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it was locally made in around Nelson somewhere.
I
Yeah.
gotta keep an eye out for that. It sounds
Yeah.
pretty sweet. What kind of hot is it? Like more of a like Asian hot sauce or like a South American hot sauce?
I think it's African.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa,
The guy
cool.
had like African roots and just lived around the area. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Fucking sweet, man. Cool. In
Yeah.
Nelson, so you were in school in Nelson. You went into you like dove pretty heavy into your digital arts. You were saying, right?
Mhm.
Were there any particular artists that you followed that were like kind of an inspiration to you as far as that goes? Like when it comes to the whole like graphic design and stuff like that.
With graphic design,
I don't know if they're exactly the same. I mean, digital arts is like a whole, but I know that graphic design is a bit more
yeah.
imagery based, right?
I guess with graphic design, it was probably always like mangaka, like manga artists. But yeah, and musically, I was listening to a lot of hip hop in
Yeah, nice.
in my early 20s.
What kind of hip hop were you like? Were you into like the more underground stuff, like Aesop Rock and stuff like that, or like were you?
Yeah, like Aesop Rock and Atmosphere.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
and Greaves, which apparently he's performing near here soon.
Yeah, I saw
which is
him
cool.
live back in like 2011, I think it was.
Oh yeah, nice.
I'm stoked to hear that he's still touring because honestly, I went to see Atmosphere here. He opened for them, and I was just fucking blown away.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, like that whole Rhyme Sayers label. unreal talent on that whole like.
Oh yeah, in 2011, 2012, they were popping off. They
Oh
were
yeah,
like,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah. That's like, and like now it's like they actually have like weight to their name now. They're not just like some underground label. Like when you say Rhymesayers, people know it. Like
yeah,
if you're into the
definitely.
hip hop scene, people know Rhymesayers. They know Atmosphere, Ant and Slug, and like getting that whole thing going is just nuts. Which of those? So you said Greaves. What
hmm
about Graves is it that you like the most? Because I remember him being kind of almost like an emo-ish rapper.
That's probably what I appreciated
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah, I definitely I've kind of come out of the brooding artists, like
All the
everything's so
angst.
tough.
Yeah.
But like it was probably that, and like he definitely had some drinking songs, and
Yeah.
like that was
Some
the
songs
thing
about
to do
pills
in
and
like
stuff like that, right?
1920. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking cool, man.
But I feel like Slug definitely spoke to me on like more of a emotional level. So like there was a lot to do with family and his stuff that I appreciated. Yeah.
Like Yesterday.
Yeah.
That track is just hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like when at the end of the song, when that twist happens, he's like, "You passed away, Dad," and it's like, "Whoa,
And it hits hard.
yeah, dude, that's nuts." What parts of like their music do you relate to? Do you mind if I ask you like on like a more personal level? Like, were there any
Sure.
things that like kind of translated that for you as far as like experiences go?
Not that I can really place right now. No. Yeah, like um yeah, I can't think of anything
I
that
think I'll
like
just go ahead and
directly.
say that you were like most of us kids back then, where a lot of the issues that don't seem as big now seemed like really big issues back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Everything was hyperbolized. It
Yeah.
was like very much yeah, things that now I'm just like, buddy, like that's fine. You
Yeah.
don't need to worry about
It
that.
was a
10 years
strange-
later, it's whatever.
Yeah, it was a dangerous era to grow up in. It was like I've never seen another period of like, high school pop culture where the more trauma you've induced yourself to or like that you've experienced, the more popular you will be. Like
Yeah. I think that's like a
glamour.
big thing. Yeah, it was a big thing with millennial humor, I think.
Yeah.
Like especially at that time, it was just like, oh, it's like super cool to be like, oh, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, we're depressed.
Yeah.
Oh, like
glamorizing self-harm and like
Yeah.
opioid use and shit. It was
And-
fucking crazy.
it's important to like talk about those things and like delve into if you have depression and stuff like that, but it was very much glamorized in like a comedic way. It was
Yeah.
very like, haha, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Like
Just spent last week slitting my wrist. Haha.
yeah
Go funny
and
name.
with like a cute like early memes that were all like demotivational posters and stuff.
Yeah.
Had very much that sense of humor.
The nihilism of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just that was wild. That's cool, man. Like I didn't realize you were a big Rhymesayers guy. That's a good connection point. I grew up on that shit too. Like
Fuck yeah.
I still listen to Aesop Rock like every week. His Impossible Kid album has just been probably one of my favorite albums of all time, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like
Fuck yeah. I'll have to check it out. Like I can't say I've heard that one.
there's this track on it called Defender, and like it's it's got that Aesop, that typical kind of like weird like alternative kind of vibe, and you know how he's like super metaphorical, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's like this whole track is about living in like Minnesota, in like a Minnesotan suburb, kind of like up in the mountains where like it's bear season.
Yeah.
It's like Alex called, said he saw a bear outside, check your trash can lids, let your comrades know, or something like that. Like this whole thing about like he does this entire rap about just making sure that the bears don't get in the trash. It's
just like incredibly like lighthearted. Like
well,
it was
it-
just did it represent more, or was it just fucking
with him you never really know.
yeah?
I'm sure there might be something deeper to it, but it just sounded like an extremely abstract way of rapping about like
Checking in on people or what?
no,
No?
it was, well, checking in on people, like letting the neighbors know that you saw a bear out front and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and like there's this whole thing there. He just like that's the thing about him. Like it can be as deep as you want it to be, but it can also be like surface level, just good hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Well, that's like a real community thing here in BC. Like, legit.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very relatable, you know. I still remember watching the black bears run through the front yard.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing. Okay, so let's move on from you getting into high school into your grad year there. So by that point, what had Emilio become and what did he think he was going to be, if anything?
Ooh. I think I had a really big ego like right before gradding, just because
High
like
school?
yeah, high school, and like I had really good grades, and like I was like, I'm gonna start my own production company. I'm gonna go to business school, and I'm gonna just like
Big dreams.
yeah, like start producing media. And very quickly after getting into business school, I was like, I've been doing school for 13 years. I'm pretty tired of this now. And I kind of fell off of that pretty quick.
Yeah, fair enough. I've
Yeah.
heard business school is like fucking, if you're not going into it to be like in the stock market, it's kind of a waste of time. Like, in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah. There was a couple like takeaways that I appreciated getting, but it was like overall not.
I had no idea you went to business school. That makes a lot of sense, though. You seem like a pretty intelligent guy, so like that seems like a pretty common sense road for you to go down. But
Thanks, man. You go post secondary?
no university for me,
No
man.
university.
I graduated, started working. I family kind of had there was like a divorce, and like that happened within 4 months of my graduation,
Oh,
and
shit.
like I went from like we were like a stable middle class family. I thought we were rich when I was a kid. I used to come out to fucking Christmas presents to the edge of the living room and like just like ridiculous stuff, right? But
Yeah.
pretty hostile relationship between my parents. They weren't like physically violent by any means, but there's a lot of shouting and like hateful words and stuff, and
Yeah.
like just like not a lot of filters. So when
Yeah.
it finally came down to it and they split, next thing I know, I was like a week after the divorce, or after they split, I
Mhm.
was sleeping on a foamy in a basement suite with my dad in the other room. We had 2 plates, 2 sets of cutlery that we got from the bar down the street. They just gave them to us, and
Yeah.
fucking food bank, and started working as much as I could to help pay the rent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like, you know, I was from a kind of a blue collar family. Like my mom was very insistent on me getting a trade, like carpentry and stuff like that, which I ended up doing anyhow. But I wanted to be a music producer. I wanted
Yeah.
to go into music, yeah, or like sciences. Marine biology was huge to me. It still is. I'm a big like science enthusiast, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any of the accreditations, but
It's always fun to learn.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Planet Earth, hands down my favorite series of all time.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's like you learn about these wonderful creatures and stuff, and like the blue planet, the whole like that whole David Attenborough just gets me hard. I can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, he's just-
No, that's fair.
yeah, yeah,
It's a weakness for a lot of people. I
yeah,
feel you.
yeah. I always
Um,
kind of wanted to go to university, but it just I
I-
was also kind of poisoned. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's a waste of fucking time, all this other shit," and then
Yeah.
you know you get out. My brother's a registered nurse, and he's doing fucking great for himself. It's good money.
Mhm.
He has like a higher understanding of how humans are,
Yeah.
which I think is probably one of the most beneficial things from going through that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's crazy how much people talk it down. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, school schmool, whatever. It doesn't matter once you get in the real world. And then it's like, well, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's just it, right? Like you can go to university and just like completely waste your fucking money, and like you know, people say like you go to philosophy or something like that, and it's a waste of money. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's like if you're hungry and in pursuit of knowledge, that's kind of what they're intended for, anyhow, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, they have taken from what I see on, and you know, you can't trust the news these days or anything, but people are talking about how like the cultures in universities are changing drastically, and it's no longer a very healthy place for people to develop their own opinions and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert though. Don't fucking quote me on that. It's just-
No, and I will say, after business school, I went to the Art Institute of Vancouver.
nice.
And again, like, took a lot away from it. Like, if it was a very good place to learn, get my hands on some gear.
Networking? Good
Yeah,
networking there, yeah.
there's a few people I went to school with that I still hang out with today.
Cool, man.
Freaking Chris Tambasso and like John Z. Those
Shouts out to those guys.
Yeah, cool bros. Hell yeah, went to school together. But it was like, the school itself, charged like an arm and a leg.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
And then they apparently went bankrupt. I don't think the Art Institute of Vancouver's around anymore.
Really?
And it's like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to like end up going bankrupt. I can only imagine what was happening on the back end from
Yeah, no
like
shit.
charging every student like 30 grand for a year is like,
What?
yeah,
Oh my god.
it's insanity.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was like everything my parents had saved up for like schooling, and
Mhm.
it was like, yeah, they're no longer there.
That's happened in a few different like art programs out here. What was that other one? There's an audio engineering school. I think they're called Nimbus.
Oh yeah,
They fucking went out of business. I think it was this year, maybe last year, but yeah, I think it might have been COVID that crushed them. in the
oh
end,
yeah,
But I mean, it is kind of strange that you're paying these exorbitant fucking tuitions to go to these places, and somehow they still go bankrupt. Like, what kind of an accounting team do they have there?
yeah. Like I don't honestly understand all the ins and outs of the business, but it's just like that's a lot of money to
Yeah.
freaking squander. Basically,
Yeah.
like the teachers weren't making mad bank, so
How?
yeah.
Weird.
So be careful with the schools you go to. Definitely. Yeah.
Wicked. Fuck. So, like, you get out of high school, you you went to business school, you go to your art institute. Did you complete the program at the art institute?
Yeah. Much. I mean, I'd failed like a couple classes, took like an extra couple weeks to complete it. But yeah, I finished it, got my little certificate, and made a fun music video. In the school, and yeah.
Sick.
Then from there, like the one thing too about the Art Institute that was a little kind of odd was there was like a career counselor that would help you after.
Yeah.
And like that sounded like a pretty great benefit. But what I found they were doing mostly was they were just like sending you Craigslist ads for like just anything. It'd be like,
Really?
we need a videographer, unpaid, or we need a camera operator who's been union for 5 years, and it's like, what? This is just some random Craigslist ad.
Pretty much jobs that you could just turn your email alerts on for and have them come straight to you.
Yeah.
Just an unnecessary middleman, I guess. Fuck.
Nah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but then just ended up falling into construction for a while because I needed to get I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a director, so I want to get into the DGC. And like, oh, you need to get your traffic control. Got it. And then right away was offered a job. And I was like, cool. All right. This is something. I need
yeah,
something.
That's one thing. Things are always going to be built. you
Yeah.
know? Like if you ever need to fall back on something, it's really good to have some kind of construction experience under your belt. Like I did 5 years as a carpenter, and it was just like, I never got my tickets, but I've never had a hard time finding work.
Yeah.
'Cause even if you're not ticketed, if you can go in front of these people and like frame a wall, they're like, all right, you're in. Like, fucking
Yeah.
deal.
You have a talent for it, and you do it right and safely. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It's just a shame there's a bit of a stigma in that industry. You
Oh.
know, like there's like a stereotype, and like I used to try to not let it affect how I viewed the industry itself, but
Mm-hmm.
it came down to a point where like I was like, there really is based on something. Like, you're training to eventually replace people who are, for example, like I was 21 or like 24. There's a foreman there who's like our crew leader or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
red steel carpenter, all this stuff. And like,
Yeah.
you're thinking that one day I'm going to do what he does, and you're looking at him and he's fucking miserable. And he smokes a
Yeah.
pack of cigarettes a day, and
Oh
all
my
he looks
God.
forward to is going home and drinking a 6-pack and watching TV. And it's like, that's not
Yeah.
the life I want to live,
Yeah, when you look at it seems like a stressful gig. Like I knew of like site foremen who were hacking. There was one guy hacking 3 packs of darts a day, and I was like,
Jesus
my
Christ.
God, you're just trying to set a record or what? But like, yeah, no, it seems it's a physically and mentally tough industry that I don't think like you said, there's like a stigma for some reason. I don't think there's enough respect put towards like
Yeah.
construction crews and workers. And one of my best friends was from that time working in construction. My buddy Brian, he's
Yeah.
like, still, I'd like to think lifelong friends. And
Yeah.
he's still doing it, still kicking it in the construction scene.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Cool. He's one of the good ones then.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool, man. Very cool. So after the Art Institute, you went into construction. Tell me some things that kind of helped you figure out that you were done with construction and wanted to move into film. You were saying you wanted to get into the Directors Guild, but now you're in IATSE. How did that? I guess actually I know how that happened because I
was getting on set and then being like, "Ooh, that looks cool."
Yeah. I want to use lights. Lights are cool.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, it was really like I just feel like I hit a low point in construction because like I did flagging, like traffic control, and I took it very seriously. And that's what you kind of need to do. I believe if you're doing it, if you're doing flagging, you should be like paying attention and like taking care of people and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But there's like, after a while, some jobs are like literally they set you in a place and like you're almost just a barricade. You're just there
pylon.
And you're standing in one spot for 10 hours. And like, I mean, you could compare it to PAing. I think it really did freaking set me up to walk into that world. But it was so mind-numbing at times. I was literally just listening to podcasts all day for like 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I saw a film set across one of my sites, and I was like, at that point, I didn't know what to do, where to go, where to even get started, even though Vancouver is such a bustling film industry. And it was 2015. Things were really booming in 2015. That's when it like really started to kick up again. And I basically asked a guy on the set, and I was like, how do you get into this? Like, how do you start? And he was just like, do you have a car? And I was like, yes. And he was like, are you free to work next week? And I was like, yes. And then I still to this day feel really bad. Like I never like leaving jobs on bad terms, but I full on was like, I was offered a week on X-Files, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm leaving this job today.
Sometimes you got to make that choice, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that was a really cool, awesome experience hopping on that show.
I bet.
Yeah.
They had the original cast for that X-Files remake, right?
Yeah,
It was a reboot, right?
Yeah, I did the mini series before they did like a brand new full season.
Cool. So Scully and Mulder were both there, though?
Yeah.
Fucking cool.
It was rad, man. And
Very
like
cool.
literally one of the first days was like so blessed and lucky. They was put up in a hotel out in Ashcroft.
Nice.
And like one of my first days on set, we're shooting a night scene with the giant UFO in the middle of the field and all the army guys walking out and fires going on. And there's like, everyone's just crawling over to the crater being like, what is this? And it was just like so mind blowing.
Yeah. I bet. That's a first project experience.
Dude,
holy crap.
I've been very, very fortunate with this. Getting on certain shows.
That's awesome, man.
Super fun.
Holy shit! I would have killed just to see that giant UFO. Like they had a real one there. Like they actually made a UFO for it. It wasn't just VFX.
Yeah, man. There was so much practical stuff on that show. It was cool. The sets in North Shore Studios were amazingly built. The construction team was cool.
That's fucking They're an older one too. They've been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah,
North Shore Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, man, that's so cool. That's the beautiful thing about film is like the practical effects. You know, when you see that kind of stuff, like it don't get me wrong, the animation side is awesome too. But when you see like you walk into a place, I remember I was working on I think it was Supergirl, and I found myself in the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, wait a second. Oh my God,
this is actually all here.
Yeah, holy shit, like so cool, right? Like, and like seeing how they put buildings on fire without actually setting the building on fire, like the facades with the gas lines and stuff. Like, there's so much like science and engineering involved.
Yeah, I actually so rarely will post online like in comments and stuff about my work, but I was watching something the other day where a YouTuber was reviewing a movie I'd worked on. There's Someone Inside Your House. And
crazy.
Yeah, it's a fun horror movie, Netflix movie.
Sounds good.
And what was it? The guy was saying like, "Oh, there's no way they did this practically." Like, blah 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 blah. And I was like, "No, we drove a car into a flaming field of corn." And like, I had to like. This guy, somebody came back and was like, "There's no way the like gas tank would get too hot, blah blah blah, this and that." And then I was like, I had to review I took a little video on set, and yeah, they just had flame bars that were going along the side, and seeing how they would do that practically was
Yeah.
like really really cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Movie magic, man. That's really is like it's such a cool world to be in. Like, and nothing beats that first time when you see like your real like Hollywood level setup. you
Yeah,
know? Like there's like
absolutely.
they got the fucking 100-foot high like man lift with a giant spot on it, and then like
Yeah.
all these like just so much crazy stuff, and you just in awe of it all.
Yeah, and then you're really like, oh, I see how this costs tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. All of this for a game of make believe.
Yes.
Holy shit. Wild. That's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were in film, did the whole music and art thing, like you were saying, it kind of fell to the wayside because you were focusing on that career for a while? But I have worked with you on a couple indie projects.
Yeah.
And like you were still working then. Did you manage to do things like that along the way as well, or like?
Yeah. I feel like because I think that was like post 2020. Beforehand, I was like doing a lot of YouTube stuff.
Cool.
And so like I wasn't really doing much drawing. I wasn't really doing much music. I was just kind of like, oh, I want to do gaming content, and like I watched a ton of it, so I was like, why don't I try and make some?
That
and
is a huge pie to have a small slice of. Small slice will set you for life in gaming, man. It's
yeah, and it's a ton of fun to do. And there was a short time, like a year or so, maybe 2 years, where I was posting like 3 to 5 videos a week and working PA shifts at the same time. I would like fucking
grinding.
Yeah, record all like for hours on Saturday. I would edit a bunch on Sunday, and then have a couple, like maybe I wouldn't be quite done, so I would like come home Monday night and be like, oh, get this posted, get the thumbnail, get it up. And
Holy
yeah,
shit.
I was kind of I was grinding a little too hard.
Yeah,
a little
you
too
started
hard
to
on
feel
it.
the burnout after that.
Yeah, I think so. Just like, yeah, PA hours will get to you eventually if you're doing like, especially, I didn't take any breaks at first either. It was just like 5-6 days a week for a solid almost 2 years.
Fuck.
And like 15. Back then it felt like too, like, because I've done a couple PA shifts since, but like back then, like I felt like 18s and 19s were just common. It was commonplace.
Yeah. That's nuts, man. Like, those days are so long. I'm like, you're lucky you made it home alive all those nights. Honestly, like, there's a lot of
spooky
people who like. I remember falling asleep at the wheel a couple different times working on those other shows. Like, you pull an 18-hour shift and you're expected to drive for an hour and a half back home, depending on where we're filming, right? Like, you could be all the way out in fucking Maple Ridge, have to drive to like Kits.
Yeah.
It could be just roll the windows down, crank the music, and just hope you make it, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck, dude, you got a hell of a work ethic then, eh?
Almost
to a fault.
I honestly, I feel like it was just the passion for film at the time. I mean,
Lit a fire in you and you're just going.
Yeah, I was just because I was talking to my buddy Brandon about this, and like we saw what's the movie, Gran Turismo,
cool.
based on the game.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. It looks really cool though.
It's fun. It's like
Apparently
actually
that's
decently done.
Isn't that like a quasi true story? Didn't they actually do that? Like they took some kid from a simulator and he actually is now an F1 racer or something like that?
Yeah. He played the guy who did it originally was the stunt double in the movie, which is like pretty rad.
That's wicked. That's so
it's
nice.
Like from gamer to like race car driving. And Brandon was he was saying like, man, just like that's what you want out of life, is like to like get in a position where it's like it's race car driving. You're like living the dream. You're like pushing as hard as you can. And I know that like it's kind of a meme on film sets to be like, how you doing? Oh, living the dream.
Yeah,
but like it was the dream, man. I was just like, this is incredible. I had starry eyes for like years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking wicked, man.
I mean, it's a cool industry. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Little less exciting now, but
The
it just,
novelty wears off after a bit, right?
yeah,
Any job, it ends up feeling like a job.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still moments though where you're like, "Fuck, I love this."
yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know in my world working as an AD, like, I get to work closely with cast, and like some of that stuff is just it's great, man. You get to see their processes. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's I'm not gonna name drop, but there's a really talented actress I worked with on it was a shorter film on like a Hallmark type budget, but it was not a Hallmark type film. It had a very real script to it. It was about um domestic um underage women being kidnapped and thrown into the sex trade out here, like in
Yeah.
America, but there's a really heavy scene coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember this actress, she got on a set and she looked at her and she's like, "Everybody, I just want you to know you might want to cover your ears for a minute. I'm going to scream." And I was like, "Why are you going to scream?" And
Yeah.
she just like top of her lungs, like it sounded like she almost blew her vocal cords out. Just like this blood curdling like scream of like anguish and like
Yeah.
hatred, and like you could feel all these emotions. And then she was like hunched over, like she had keeled over with this scream that was that intense. And she came up and you could just see it on her face. She was just in it. She just
Yeah.
channeled this emotion, and now she's like in that state. And the scene
Fuck.
went, and it was a one and done. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
she was just there, and it was fucking wild. That's the first time I think I've ever seen a true like process to like have an emotion inhabit you,
Yeah.
to cue that in for a scene. And
Just
it's,
like get to that place emotionally.
yeah, because you always wonder, like, if someone's not like full method,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
which is kind of controversial these days. Anyhow, you
Yeah.
don't exactly want to deal with Jared Leto every fucking day.
Yeah.
But like I've always wondered, like, if they're not constantly in that, like, how can they change that quickly?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of answered it for me, that there are these individual processes that they've all kind of crafted, I guess, in their own way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's its own like art form, man. And like even talking to our friend Cody, like
Yeah.
I couldn't list anything right now, but like they're methods that like learning through acting class and stuff that like really bring you there. And it is uh I don't know the word for it, like cool to see on set when an actor really pours their all into a performance like that.
Yeah.
Like it's because of being on film set so frequently, and like you said, it can kind of just become a job that like grips and lighting, they're just kind of standing around ready for the next setup, ready to move lights. But when an actor like even just on set like really brings something real and like especially like dark like that, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for them to get out of afterwards too, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not exactly a process to get out of it other than just like waiting for it to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like she was physically and emotionally exhausted after that shoot. I remember bringing her back to her trailer at the end of the day, and she was drained, like just
I believe it.
done.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's like you're forcing your body. Your body doesn't know it's any different. Like your body doesn't know if it's fake or real.
Right.
So if you're putting yourself in an emotional state of like trauma,
Mm-hmm.
to your body it feels like trauma.
Yeah.
Your head might know that it's not, but your body's like, what the fuck is going on? And like goes into like fight or flight mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, that's wild. Yeah, it is a pretty neat industry, but I think we should move on to talking about more of you rather than some actors and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
no,
why don't you give me this rundown on what went into your EP, this Senescence EP that I just listened to before I got here. I know I told you outside in the room there, total main character vibes. Like when I was listening to that, I felt like I was in my own like short film.
Nice.
Like,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, really cool. Like especially like with like commuting. I don't know what it was about that, but I had all these images going through my head when were you going for like a Starry Night type of vibe? Like some of it was like I could imagine heartbreak on like a clear sky evening almost like.
Yeah. I really wanted to like, first of all, with that EP, like it's got to be vulnerable. Like, just make something that comes from the heart, and like really write some poetry, and like try and tap into like definitely a lot of space themes and like
Yeah,
starry nights
I
and
love this. Which one was it? You mentioned something about living on the moon in one of those
oh
songs.
yeah. I think that was probably the last track after Cosmic Elegy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking. It's really artistic, man. Honestly, I was
Mm.
really impressed. Like I listened to it once before, but I never like listened to it.
Mm.
And when I actually like put some effort into like hearing the music and like what went into it, it was pretty top tier, honestly, for like just you doing like that was all you. You produced the track, you did the lyrics,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, did all the mixing, all the vocals, everything. Thanks,
Fucking
buddy. Yeah, yeah,
stamp of approval right there, man.
appreciate it. I fucking yeah, what was it? 2020, and I'm sure like it's it's tough to say because it was a tough year for
Everyone,
everybody.
yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But I lost my mom that year.
Oh, I'm
Um
sorry to hear that, dude. That's rough.
yeah, she was doing some experimental treatment for she had cancer for a very long time.
Hmm.
Um, and she was doing a treatment in the States, and then she was stuck in the States, and then
Oh,
there were some
fuck, dude.
complications with the treatment, and then she passed away there. And we never, like, my dad was there with her, and he had to get her like cremated and bring her back, and then we had to go pick him up in Alberta because of like weird flight stuff because of COVID.
Oh, brother, I'm so sorry. That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like a rough fucking time.
yeah, it was a fucking it was a really tough year, and like coming on the other side of that and like getting back to um working on art again, I was like, oh, I don't know. There's some stuff I want to get out,
Hmm.
and in particular, like Cosmic Elegy was about my mom. Star Traveler was like about some family and friends that were also going through a very hard time. And I was like, I can see uh, the beauty in like who they are as
Hmm.
people. And it's really hard to get that across sometimes, when people are, that they're struggling and they can't see like how good of a person they are themselves. And
That's
like, yeah, I just wrote about that.
wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. Like honestly, that now that you've enlightened me to that aspect of as your inspiration for like those songs and stuff. I definitely it makes sense, you know,
Yeah.
listening to that. I do. I hope your intention was to have people like, and I almost felt like a sense of like loss and optimism at the same time,
Yeah.
like a state of ah, how am I? What am I going to describe it? Emotional whimsy.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Well, I'm glad that there's the optimism out of it, because it is
Yeah,
like very like vulnerable and talking about stuff, but then
yeah,
it is very much like I wanted it to feel uplifting.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was like uplifting, but like not in like a bubblegum pop sort of way, in like a
yeah,
very like real sense of like there's definitely a feeling of loss, but also this feeling of like security that was portrayed in that. I think most of the Cosmic Elegy track actually even like was like yeah,
huh,
really well done, man. Like and
appreciate it.
that it makes sense that it was that good because you had like some real emotional fuel to fucking throw into that and like caring about your loved ones too. Um, like you were saying about how like you knew they were going through a hard time, you just wanted to like get some of that out there for them as well. Was
Hmm.
that's really cool. That's like the beauty of art and music, man, is being able to portray that stuff in a mode of creation. You also access therapy, like self-induced therapy. That
Yeah,
did making that kind of give you a feeling of closure, like a sense of closure.
uh, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something I still need to work on, honestly, a little bit. But I think that, yeah, having a little bit of closure and like talking about stuff like that is a little bit more tough. I also like I've always struggled with social anxiety, and I
Mhm.
feel like art has definitely been like an incredible outlet to just be like, okay, I can just make this thing that is like I'm expressing myself how I really want to express myself, and then I've actually like gotten out and like processed thoughts that have been mulling about for
Yeah.
forever. Yeah,
Open the drawers and let it out, sort of
yeah,
thing. Cool, man.
yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's fucking deep. That's
Oh, thanks, man.
yeah.
Can I tell you a funny little anecdote about it
Yes,
though? Freaking
absolutely.
the EP title like came in like a weird like half dream that I was listening to the instrumentals and I was like trying to think about what to call it and I was like kind of falling asleep. And then I just heard this uh like redneck backwoods voice that was just like, "What do you think you are? Some kind of space kid?" In like a weird dream, and then I was like, when I woke from that, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna call it Space Kid."
Oh, that's so fucking neat.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
That's so cool. Some
um,
kind of space kid.
yeah.
Fucking, that's I can see that being said by a hillbilly right now. Just the way you worded that. That's fucking hilarious. You don't want to go to space, son. You gotta stay in the fields. Keep working with your dad.
I'll be tilling away, boy.
Cool, man. You mentioned social anxiety. I think that might be something good to touch on, just because
Mm,
we seem to be entering a bit of a theme of vulnerability and like making that okay.
yeah,
Um, speaking as from like a man's perspective,
mm,
that's not hasn't until recently been an acceptable narrative that men can be vulnerable when they need to, or at
yeah,
least it's been stigmatized to be that way.
yeah.
What does your social anxiety goblin look like?
It's ugly and short. It
Yeah.
haunts me. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's a strange beast because it's like hits me different on different
Yeah.
days, you know?
But
Like
like like for different people it manifests in different ways. Like
yeah.
for myself, I didn't realize it was social anxiety at first. Um,
Mm.
but it made a lot of sense afterwards, especially after finding out that I had an anxiety condition. Was like I just wouldn't stop talking.
Oh yeah.
People thought I was personable, but it's because I was fucking having a panic attack and just
Mm.
saying whatever came to my mind. Like,
Yeah.
and being in large crowds was overstimulating and like just I felt like I could have said anything wrong and gotten punched out for it. I was very afraid of conflict, things like that.
Yeah.
So mine was very motor mouthy, and like people would have just thought that I was just being like the fucking guy trying to be the life of the party or some shit. And I
Yeah.
don't mean that
It's
in an
just like
egotistical way. I
no,
mean
no,
that in
it's
like
just a
a
coping mechanism that comes out as like
yeah,
gregarious and like
yeah. So
fun, I'm sure.
that was my social anxiety goblin.
Yeah.
What did yours look like?
Well, I mean, for me it's like it's quite the opposite. It's
Yeah.
like I get very, very quiet. I just like when I can't process or I don't feel like I can extend myself out to other people. I just listen. I get very, very quiet and I just listen and
Kind
in
of
my
withdraw.
yeah, very withdrawn and like it doesn't it doesn't matter necessarily if it's with people I'm like super familiar with. It can be like, even best friends or like friends I've had for years. And I'll just be like, well, I feel like for some reason I just am way more shy today. I can't,
Hmm.
I can't
Yeah.
really express, as clearly.
Yeah.
Um,
It's definitely there's a reason it's a condition as well as an emotion, right? Because like
yeah.
people are always like, everything's fine. Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
Because you have anxiety. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Um,
is the seat tube poking in the back at all?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay, that's good.
it's these. Yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah.
making sure. Sometimes I find myself sliding down more and more every time I sit down. These are so comfy, I just end up like falling in. Yeah. Aside from our furniture, back to the topic there. What did you think was your like? I know you're saying making music was helpful for that, but when you find yourself in that space, what are things that like calm you and like help you cope?
Um, honestly, like familiar let's play channels, if I'm being totally honest. Like
Really?
if I'm like at home or
Hmm.
like can access the internet on my own. Like I'm not just in a social situation. It'll be like, yeah, watching Game Grumps or like Oni Plays or like
Angry Gamer Nerd
yeah,
videos and all?
AVGN back in
Yeah,
the day.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just listening to familiar voices of people having fun and laughing together. Yeah, well, it's like
Fills the void.
big go-to. I remember the first time I tried magic mushrooms. I was having kind of a rough trip
Oh,
because
yeah. As most of us would on the first time. Yeah.
somebody got pissed off. We were camping. They were like pretty peeved that I wasn't helping with continuing building the fire. And I was just like, man, the fire's doing all kinds of crazy dances right now. And the woods is dark. I don't know if I can help. Just like, yeah, he was getting all pissed off. And I was like, I need to just chill in the tent for a bit. I just pulled out the phone, watched Game Grumps for a good,
Oh, wicked.
I don't know how long, but then, yeah, was able to come back out to the party.
Yeah, I don't really know many people who have had a good experience their first time on mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Mine was fucking tragic. Mine was with Cody, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Cody was a big part of why it wasn't great. He was like, I don't know if have you done hallucinogens with Cody?
Have not.
He seems to manifest a movie role almost every time he's on.
Oh,
At least
really?
as far as I've been experienced.
Yeah.
He like, I don't know. We all like had an eighth of mushrooms, and I got there a little late. They'd already taken theirs in tea, and like they're like feeling the come up. It's like shit. I see my bag of mushrooms sitting there, and a box of like lemon tarts from Costco.
Oh, yeah.
At our friend Jack's place. So I just threw the whole thing on this lemon tart, chucked it back, and yeah, I was like
That's
starting.
too much.
Yeah, and like right when I felt them starting to hit, everyone else was like peaking, and they were just going nuts. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be like that, aren't I? Like this is nuts." And
Oh, boy.
Cody had this. What was it? One guy was so zonked on them that like he was just like laying on one of the beds in one of the bedrooms in the house, and he's like doing the whole like K-hole thing, like oh, right. And
Yeah.
Cody comes up to like see if he's okay, and he grabs Cody's glasses and starts like chewing on the fucking arm. Of him.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And then Cody just like switched, and next thing you know, he thought he was like a serial killer or something, and grabbed a fucking like one of those wire clothes hangers.
Yeah.
Fucking damn near stabbed a guy with a bent out clothes
Oh, my
hanger.
God.
Yeah. And I was like, I need to leave. I just like got on my bike and rode back to my mom's place, and I just remember the road moving with my bike rather than my bike moving with the road.
Yeah.
Then I hid in my bedroom with a big tie-dye sheet on my ceiling, played Jack Johnson, and just tried to be okay.
Yeah.
You know?
That sounds like a chill place. That
Yeah.
sounds much better.
Yeah, it was definitely like my safe space.
Oh, man. I can't deal when people do the, like, when, you know, you're doing like a new experience
Yeah.
and then, somebody is either fucking around or they're like
Too fucked up.
a little,
Yeah.
aggressive.
Yeah.
But I tried edibles with a couple friends, and they thought it'd be funny to pull a prank that they were like, out of nowhere, we were just all hanging out, chilling, and me and my two buddies, and then they like look at each other and they're like, look at me, and they're like, let's get him. And then it would like had like a small bat and like chains, and they were just
what the
like,
fuck? What?
if I was dead sober, fucking would have laughed my ass
Yeah,
off.
like,
I'm just like,
whatever,
oh,
man.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But like in that state of mind, I was like, what the fuck? Is this how it ends?
This is it. This is it. Oh my god, I'm
This
gonna
is
die
the
here.
moment. They meant nothing by it, but I was just fucking tripping balls.
Yeah. And when you say edibles, were they shroom edibles or like just weed edibles?
Just weed. They were pretty intense, but
They're enough to. Yeah, I've been
yeah.
paranoid as fuck on those before too. They are crazy intense when you take too big of a dose. Like,
Yeah.
Fuck me. People say that weed's like not psychedelic, but I dare you to go eat 100 milligrams and then
Yeah.
like sit in a dark room.
hmm
It'll be very psychedelic.
Weird shit starts happening.
Yeah, yeah. Auditory, just like the thoughts that cross through your head and stuff. Like it's fucked. It's so
Mhm.
weird, man. That's crazy. Holy shit. Yeah, mushrooms are a trip, dude. Like all those things are like whenever you do something the first time, like that's why I'm still touchy about like hallucinogenics. I do
Yeah.
microdose shrooms from time to time.
Mhm.
But if I'm gonna like heroes dose or something, I have to be 100% confident that wherever I am is where I'm going to stay and I'm going to be comfortable and nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll just be thinking about what could go wrong the whole time.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that you have around is definitely important too.
Oh, it's super important. Yeah. Like I get along with a lot of people. I'm consider myself a somewhat personable guy, but like when it comes to like, I'm going to do these psychedelics and I'm going to dive into the deepest realms of my soul right now. I can't just have like, I could have close friends around that I've known for years, but there's got to be that certain level of connection for me to feel like comfortable doing it around them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just end up thinking thoughts. Like I almost need to know everything about the people around me. You know, I have to like, you got to give me your full background check. I need their fucking history. Like give me your bank statements. Let me see what you do with your life. Like before I can actually like calm down and feel okay.
Yeah.
Very touching. Even with my wife, like she and I, like she's fine when she's done a dose or whatever. But like with me, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I just get.
No, I feel that. The one dude who, when I was doing mushrooms the first time, who I didn't know, everyone else was like amazing good friends. But the one dude I didn't know was the guy getting pissed about the fucking fire pit.
Really?
Yeah. So like I feel that. You don't know what.
Yeah.
And he was like coked out. So like, yeah, not a good mix.
Yeah, you don't. Those two people should never be at the same party.
Yeah.
If you got a psychonaut, you don't want them to be in the same room as the guys who are like hitting lines in the bathroom. Even liquor, like it's hard to deal with drunk people when you're tripping.
Could imagine. Yeah, it's a different vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange how there's like this whole spectrum of fucked up now. You know.
Yeah.
Like, it's like people used to just think like fucked up was fucked up. If you're doing shrooms or whatever at a party, it's all in the same environment, but it's not. It's like there's this whole world of like just getting messed on like these different substances that like really don't go well together. Like
do not mix.
Yeah.
And like shrooms, I don't know if it's a party drug.
No, definitely not. Like maybe
really a party drug.
Good concert drug.
Yeah,
Like
I can see that.
I went to one of those outdoor concerts in Stanley Park earlier this year.
Oh, nice.
I can't remember what the bowl's called, but it's like, you know, big outdoor thing, nice grass hill.
Yeah.
So
who'd you see there?
First Aid Kit.
First Aid Kit.
Yeah. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
They're the couple of Swedish girls who play I want to say like indie American folk vibes, but with like a ghostly reverbish kind of tone to it. And these like their voices are in harmony almost the entire time, and it's just freaky. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And like they're really cool, man. Like they're super artistic women. And like my wife and I went and we both took I think maybe 1.5 grams, 2 grams.
Yeah.
And dude, there's something to be said about like you've been at a concert and like, you know, when a band like say you're seeing I don't know, what's a huge band that you like to go see or whatever?
I mean, I just saw Tool. That was
sick.
fucking
Whoa,
really
sick.
rad.
That must have been wicked.
Dude, it was nuts.
Probably a great shroom concert, too.
Yeah, I believe it would
Man,
be. Hell yeah.
What? You went to Tool? That's sick.
Yeah, they were like bucket list for like forever since high school. Yeah.
Dude, that Maynard, their frontman as well. I heard their drummer has done so much DMT that it's given him this unreal control over his limbs. And he can like sit apparently I haven't seen the video, but apparently there's a video where he sits down in the chair in front of a whiteboard and he's got a marker in each hand and one grasping in each toe, and he simultaneously does a triangle, a square, a circle, and like I think a diamond at the same time with all of his limbs.
Dear God,
it's like what the fuck. Like,
that man is a beast.
It's insane, man. Like they're trippy as hell. So yeah, imagine you're at like Tool or whatever, right? Like you know when a big hit comes on or like the show's going well, people are freaking out. They're like screaming, like going crazy. It looks really crazy.
Yeah.
It was the only time I've been at a concert where the entire crowd fell dead silent and you just heard these women singing, and it was unreal.
That sounds super, super like visceral.
It was. Yeah. It was crazy. And like that's right when like the little bit of shrooms I was taking were starting to kick in. Yeah. And like next thing I know, it just, you know, you get that kind of feeling at a concert when you're on mushrooms where it's like everyone's here for the same purpose. You know, you kind of get that community vibe pumping through you all of a sudden. And it was, I just look over the sea of people and everyone's eyes on them, dead quiet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really cool experience. Fuck yeah.
It was unreal, man. I've been to a lot of shows. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And yeah, First Aid Kit, highly recommend. Next time, Tool, if you ever go to them again, you let me know though, because I want to go to that. Dude, Lateralis is like one of the most incredible song structures I've ever seen. Like just
Oh,
or
yeah.
heard, I guess is a more appropriate word.
Man.
Like the whole structure is the Fibonacci sequence
Yeah.
up to like what is it, 27, I think, and then they go back down.
Mm-hmm. And even the the like the syllables with the lyrics
Yeah.
are the Fibonacci, and then if you rearrange the songs, they kind of flow into one another differently.
Really?
Yeah. I totally forget the track order, but if you rearrange them a certain way.
And this is from that same album?
Yeah,
Fuck,
the
cool,
whole
man.
album flows like there's an outro that'll like sort of fade out and then come into a different song that would have been somewhere completely different on the CD.
Dude.
Yeah,
oh my
it's
god,
nutty.
that's cool.
But yeah, if they come back, yeah, I'm down. I want to go.
Yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah.
so down. Okay, we're at an hour. That's a good spot to cut off on. Actually, we'll come back with probably Tool. Honestly, I'm
Fuck
down
yeah,
to chat
I'm down
some
to chat some Tool.
Cool,
Hell yeah.
sick, man. Awesome. Okay, Tool. We were talking about Tool.
Yeah.
When did you first discover Tool?
I would say probably in grade 10.
Yeah?
Yeah. Had a very hippie stoner friend who also loved metal, loved Tool.
Those are
showed
usually
me.
the ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Had a couple nights out drinking with some buddies, and he'd just play a track here or there. Got me hooked.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's so like it's just so different. Like what I
Yeah.
always saw people wearing the t-shirts and stuff, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then same thing. Had this fucking old school metalhead rock friend of mine. He was like, if you haven't listened to Tool, man, you gotta check them out. They're fucking wild. And we I don't know, did you ever, like back in the day, before the days of legalization, they used to do this like hot knifing, right?
Yeah, yep.
Right? We were hot knifing hash in his garage. I think I was in like grade 10.
Yep.
Such good kids. And like this song came on, it was Schism or Scheme. I don't know how it's pronounced still, but
It's Schism.
Schism?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I just remember hearing that like that bass line coming in first, that and I just like perked up immediately. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah.
Wild.
And then fucking it's like they have so much cool melodic stuff that repeats and repeats and repeats
like
and
transic
evolves
almost.
and,
Yeah.
And like, not gonna lie, definitely when you brought that up, I was like, Guitar Hero definitely also had their hand in that a little bit too,
Yes.
because there was like Vicarious and Schism and
Oh my god, and the pot was on there too, wasn't
I
it?
think so. Yeah.
Fuck. You must have been high.
Hi.
Fucking cool, man.
It was their show was so awesome to see live.
I
Like
bet.
just to because I've been just trying to see a lot more concerts recently, just like because of my like more involvement in music and just like really come to appreciate like seeing the live shows, and they in particular, out of like the past couple bands I've seen, like put in a ton of effort with their whole performance. It's not just like, I mean, their music is incredible, but their visualizers, the like laser light show that they put on is all melodic. It's all in time with their music.
I
It's
think you're the closest thing you'll have to like this generation's Pink Floyd
yeah.
sort of thing, you know? Well, I guess they're not even our generation. They came like Gen X, but still, like,
Yeah.
you know, they're the closest thing to Pink Floyd next to Pink Floyd as far as like the trippy shit that goes on at their concerts, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any Pink Floyd acts like Roger Waters or anything?
No. I have for the longest time wanted to see at the
The
what is
Wall?
it? Yeah, they at the what's it called? Vancouver.
The Rio?
No, they it's like a laser light show that they perform. And it's just like
Oh,
put
yeah,
up on
yeah,
a
yeah.
ceiling.
Ah,
The planetarium.
Yeah.
the planetarium.
I've heard about this. This sounds. I think that'd be great to see it. I went and saw. I saw Roger Waters in 2014. I think.
Oh, yeah?
It was unreal. Like mind blowing. They had like it was at BC Place. You know, huge football stadium, right? And they had the wall was made of like they had an actual wall.
Yeah.
And it was made of these bricks that were probably, I don't know, 6 feet wide by like 3 or 4 feet tall. Probably
Yeah.
3 feet tall. Stacked up, and they were lined with, you could tell they were probably just like hollow frames with like projector material wrapped around them, because they projected the whole movie of The Wall on the wall.
Oh shit.
And it went from like the top brick line was like starting at the bottom of the balcony on one side of the end zone.
Holy shit.
All the way across the other side of the end zone.
Oh my god.
Fucking
That's
nuts.
massive.
Yeah, they had a 30-foot tall like inflatable alien thing like dancing around on stage and shit. And like Roger Waters, he and Pink Floyd had a big falling out, right? Because he like wrote The Wall.
Yeah.
And like it was this whole thing, but he wasn't allowed to use any of the Pink Floyd
like aesthetics or
yeah,
like,
so he couldn't have the pig. Like
Yeah.
Pink Floyd has this pig, so he had his own pig, and it was like this fucking black tattooed Satan pig.
Oh yeah.
It's like floating around the whole time. It was wild. At the end of the concert, though, I think it was maybe the last song of the night, they flew like a scale model Spitfire, like a British fighter plane,
yeah.
right into the wall. There was a huge explosion. The whole thing just got blown up. It was fucking
Holy
wild.
shit.
It was unreal, dude.
That's rad.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's incredible when artists like take a performance like that to another level with
Yeah.
like some sort of like theatrics to
Well,
it.
yeah, it's like he's very political, right? He's like
Yeah.
super into like anti-war and all that stuff, which is great. It's
Mhm.
absolutely great. But like to be able to not just like have like a cool show, like like going to see Nickelback. Everyone's like, "Why do you want to go see Nickelback?" Because there's fire and there's
Yeah.
like explosions and cool shit, right?
AC/DC has cannons, bro.
Yeah,
Hell
exactly.
yeah.
But with like his visualizations, they always seem to like carry a message with them. Like it was, well, he even had like the Vancouver Children's Choir was there singing for Another Brick in the Wall. It was like,
Oh, really?
it was
Oh,
really
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really neat. Yeah, but
Got
fuck, like,
local choir too.
yeah,
That's,
yeah. Like I think that like I haven't seen Tool, but I
Mhm.
feel like probably not too far apart. Like as far as like the visualizations and stuff go.
Yeah, it was a lot of their like of course they used a lot of like Alex Gray's like art style and visualizations, a lot
Yeah.
of creepy eyes and stuff,
Yeah.
and like they love the theme of the third eye and like awakening and stuff.
The DMT is
it's,
strong in that group.
Very true. Yeah, and the visualizers were really rad, and like the laser light show, like perfectly in time with everything.
Lasers are so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like that's like probably my favorite thing. If you have lasers at a concert, I'm set. Like fire is awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Pyrotechnics are great, but when you have like lasers doing laser stuff, like
Mhm.
different shapes, moving with the music and shit, it's a whole other thing. It's trippy as hell.
yeah,
wild.
absolutely. Fucking, I love when it comes to like film stuff. I would love to freaking get into doing like concert stuff eventually too, like a little bit. 'Cause
Yes,
I do. I've been dipping my toes into the lighting board.
I've got a
type deal.
DMX controller here for.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's I one of the parts I salvaged from the karaoke company. But
Yeah,
if you want to work with that at all,
love
man,
to tinker around.
Yeah?
Yeah, take a look.
I'll be bringing some other lights back eventually from Kamloops here once I actually get there again. But yeah, I'll be bringing all these lights in and stuff. So like fucking, I've been planning to use it for like rehearsed like lighting scenes for like performances like what you're going to give us tonight and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like be able to actually have like a control station where we can have lighting work for them in this room, so it looks like extra cool, like,
Cool. Hell yeah.
it's like, why not? And
Mhm.
like if you're into that, feel free to come by for those kinds of things. We could like fucking learn together and like come up with some really cool scenes. You can save like
Absolutely.
128 different lighting scenes on this thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Fucking
That's rad. Yeah, having that control and like I've gotten to use like the full on like ion lighting board consoles.
cool.
And also like on a couple other productions we've run DMX through an iPad. You can actually, it's pretty rad. You can control like full on color temperatures and lights and effects and stuff
Yeah.
all from a tablet, so long as you have a transmitter, and you can
Well, that's
and-
something I should maybe look into.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool as hell.
Definitely, I'd love to chat about that.
I don't know why I'm surprised by that. Like that seems pretty logical. You can do everything else off of a tablet these days. So
Yeah, it's
That
funny
makes
too.
sense.
Like, I've done a couple lighting board courses, and like the shell of the computer, it's just like a really basic version of Windows, like with like nothing else on it other than the lighting board program. But it
Oh,
is
cool.
technically Windows. You can get into it.
really
yeah,
wicked,
yeah.
wicked. Holy shit, man. So you've been like, what kind of if you had a dream concert, what genre of music would you like to do lighting and visualizations and stuff like that for?
Oh, well, it would honestly be something like either like stuff that I like to make, like synth pop or like
Yeah.
80s pop type stuff.
I definitely
Um,
saw lasers when I was listening to your
yeah,
music.
fuck
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Or like prog rock because that's fun too. Like
Yeah.
the syncopation of like drums and guitar and stuff is like super rad. So
Yeah.
there's tons of fun stuff you can do there.
That was always so astounding to me growing up. I always thought that would have been so cool, like to control that sort of thing. The lights at a concert are like so key. Like, that karaoke company I used to work with back in Kamloops, it
Mm.
was also an events company. I
Oh
just
yeah,
ran the
yeah,
karaoke side of it, but we'd set up for like concerts and stuff down there and shit, like just like
cool.
smaller level ones. But we had
Yeah,
enough lights and stuff that we could make a pretty sick fucking show go on.
hell yeah.
And I just I never took the time to really like learn how to use the board and stuff. The guy who owned the equipment usually did that, but then he just like vanished. So like,
Yeah, that's such a strange story. Do you mind like talking a little bit more on that?
yeah, I mean
or-
like, yeah, he, I'm gonna keep his name out just because I don't want to,
yeah, that's fair.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
you don't want to.
step on any toes or anything like that. And then,
Mhm.
like, I still, if you're listening, bro, I miss you. Really, he was a really great guy to work with.
Hmm.
Oh, actually, no, he's no longer a guy. That's what it is. Last I heard,
Oh.
they actually went to Victoria, and this is just word of mouth. I could be wrong, but I heard they transitioned, and now they
well,
go by a different name. But yeah,
congrats, hell yeah.
they hadn't responded to any messages or myself or the other guy involved in the company with me.
Mhm.
Haven't heard from him in years.
Yeah.
And
Sounds like
never.
a really wiping slate clean, just like
Yeah, I think
walking
that's
away
what it
from
was.
everything that was part of their life before, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. They just wanted to start brand new. And you can't blame them. I mean, like, if you got the balls to just walk away from it all and just start fresh, like that takes some moxie, Like
Yeah.
you gotta have some drive and like be very certain of that.
Hmm.
Or even just certain that what you're currently living as is not what you want to live as, I guess, rather than you're certain that you want a fresh start, just you're certain that nothing here is working.
Yeah.
Like I've
Yeah.
always envied people with that kind of courage to make those sorts of decisions in their life. Like I've always been very standoffish as far like I don't know. I do spontaneously jump at things quite
Mhm.
often,
Yeah.
but I've never like really been able to make this big life-changing decision like that,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's like some big stuff that, it's scary. Like if you're really like pursuing something that'll change your life that much. Like even when it comes to like, moving somewhere else in the world, I've always like really been like, holy shit. Like when I've met people that are like, I just moved
Yeah.
halfway across the world and now I live here now. This
Like,
is my life.
Cody lived
and
in
I'm
New
like,
Zealand for like a year, and I was so envious.
That's
I went down
wild.
there to meet him, and I ended up making it 3 months. I had to come back because I fucking wasted all my money. And time. It was good. Like
Yeah.
that's those are bold moves. Like my wife, she went and stayed in Germany as an au pair for like I think it was 9 months or something like that.
Oh wow.
And like you cannot convince her otherwise that Germany is not the best fucking country on the planet. She fucking loves that place. And,
Nice.
like, I can't blame her. I'm German. She fucking married me, so there's that.
Saw it in you.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Got to be the, I fucking, who was it? Someone was joking around saying that, like, I looked like Hitler's wet dream. Blonde hair, blue eyes,
Yep.
like, I'll never be able to, like, get rid of that, I guess. I guess I could dye my hair, but it wouldn't cover anything up, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
that's it's pretty hard to change that stuff.
Yeah.
It's fine. You could be Aryan. It's
Yeah,
chill.
it is what it is. So when I kind of want to talk more about concerts here now, because like knowing that you have an interest in concert lighting and stuff like that, and geography, I guess. Where would you love to do a show? Like if you could, whether you're performing or somewhere you've always wanted to go to see a show.
Ooh.
What part of the world? Like, is there any country or city venue in particular that you've heard about that you want to
Honestly,
get
that's a
to?
really awesome question, but I can't say I've ever really thought about it too much. But like honestly, probably two places that come to mind are just places I've also always really wanted to travel to. But
Okay.
like LA or
Cool.
like somewhere in Japan would be really rad.
I've heard the venues in Japan are fucking next level.
Yeah.
Like, there's some pretty cool shit there. I would love to go to Japan, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
dude. Anthony Bourdain, did you ever watch his shows?
No,
No
no,
reservations,
not
no?
really.
Do
No.
you know who he was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck, dude, he's done like 3 different shows, like No Reservations, The Parts Unknown, and then like before either one of those, there's another one. I think it was called Kitchen Confidential or something. But, he goes around the world, eats food, talks to prominent people in the food and music scenes, like
Yeah.
his dinner with rock stars and shit.
Hmm.
In Japan, though, he went to Hokkaido,
Yeah.
and I guess Hokkaido is like known to be like, if you're looking for a place like a hole in the wall
Hmm.
with like 3 tables,
Yeah.
maybe less, with great food,
Yeah.
it's like every single alleyway in Hokkaido has like 12 of them.
Okay. Making a mental note of this.
Yeah,
Fuck
and
yeah.
it's a huge beer scene too. I think
Yeah.
that might be where the Sapporo brewery is, or the Asahi one, but
Oh yeah.
it just looks incredible, man. Like, the
Mhm.
culture there is amazing, and like the technologies, they just like have this entirely different way of going about life. That's like,
Yeah, yeah. I think there's like too. You talking about food? Like, there's a serious difference in. I feel like just the amount of respect they put towards like the craft. Like legit, like the
Big
fact that
time.
you can go to like just a random hole in the wall like ramen shop and get some of the best fucking ramen in your life. Or like even I like to bring up 7-Eleven. Like,
yeah,
you go to 7-Eleven in Japan, apparently you're gonna, I mean, it's not like fine dining, but you're gonna get some really decent food, like decent
Really?
sandwiches, decent like chicken and stuff. But
cool.
yeah, here you're kind of just like, I don't know how long that's been sitting there, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that taquito's been waiting for me.
Want some of that Japanese 7-Eleven onigiri? That stuff?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be fucking, sounds good. I'm
Um,
craving.
But yeah, man, like Japan would be rad, and I could only imagine too the crowds in Japan would be insane.
Yeah.
Like being in a concert setting there would be just like nuts because I feel like they really go all out when they are like partying like that.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if this is true amongst all venue crowds, but I remember in the Tokyo Olympics, there was a cutaway on one of the channels covering it, and they were just watching people from the crowd were just cleaning up the arena, because that's just what you do. You just take care of the place that you're in. They have a much
Yeah.
higher respect for like where they are and like
Mhm.
keeping things clean and orderly, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is that mentality that I can't remember what it's called. I watched a little micro doc on YouTube about it, though, about that putting your everything into the things that you do is
Yeah.
like a very big tenet in Japan. And even with their auto industry, like Toyota is the number 1 selling brand in the world, right?
Yeah.
And their cars are, to this day, still just fucking unbelievably high quality and durable.
Yeah.
And there's this comparison that a Ford factory in America there
Mm-hmm.
will have a factory line stop maybe once a day
Right.
to do a quality check or if something was missed.
Yeah.
With Toyota's plants, an average of 12 times a day, they'll stop the factory line and
Mhm.
people will go on and do quality control and like just make sure that everything is working out just like so.
Yeah.
It's like it's that kind of attention to detail and the discipline to know when you need to really
Yeah.
instigate it,
It's a big it's a big culture thing, and like the what's the word? I guess just like being aware of your own actions too,
Yeah.
like even when it comes to something like say littering, or just like you just want to, you treat your space with respect, you treat your like city
Yeah.
with respect, and it's just like it's gonna be
What is the word for that?
Pretty clean.
Ricardo,
It's
if you're listening, man, can you would you be able to Google that and just like speak into my ear and we can give that to everyone else? Because that's a really cool. That's something I've always envied about it over there. Like that's why I wanted to go there, is to see what life is like on
Mhm.
that side of the pond. I guess and the food, man. I'm gonna keep coming back to the food every
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, god damn.
I know there's so many options out there, and I know it's not all just
Sushi.
this food, but
Oh,
I would
yeah.
fucking love sushi. I would
Yeah.
love to try some sushi in Japan. Just,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
get some really good cuts of like
Real wasabi.
yeah,
That would be
real
something
wasabi
else,
and
yeah.
not just like the
Horseradish with
horseradish
colors.
greened up for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really neat. Like, that's a good choice though, man. Do you think us growing up watching anime and stuff has influenced that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. That's also another thing too. It's like I when it comes to wanting to travel to Japan and like first of all being a fan of manga and anime and stuff
Yeah.
is like just also wanting to like me myself when if I get a chance to go there is be respectful and not be like just a total like a weeb or like I don't know. There's like a certain amount of like the culture is so much more than just that like those kinds of art forms.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
like that's the thing. But as far as like their media and art goes, like that is the mainstream over there. Apparently, it's like
true, yeah.
like Gundam and like that's why Goku was an ambassador for the Olympics, right?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. That's,
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So instead of using like actual Japanese athletes, which I'm sure they did at some point,
Yeah.
but like Goku was their main ambassador because Goku embodies training
Yeah.
constantly to
Oh, yeah.
overcome all odds in
He
this
just
whole thing.
wants to beat you for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rad. Heck yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was really neat. It's like instead of, their top medalists or anything, it's like Goku, Mario, and Pikachu were like the three big like fucking ambassadors.
It's just like so much more socially acceptable to like there's a weird stigma behind cartoons here. It's
Yeah.
like,
I think
either
hand-drawn things are made for kids, but it's
Yeah.
like pictures have been a part of storytelling and like our lives for fucking thousands of years.
yeah, it's just
know?
another medium. It's
Yeah.
just another format for something to be presented in. There have
Yeah.
been plenty of fucking like I know it's an easy one to go to, but like you go like Studio Ghibli films. Like
Oh,
they're
God,
so
yeah.
powerful. Like they're
They are.
incredibly well made films.
Some of the most like emotionally like triggering and
Yeah.
just inspiring films. I like everything about those movies. They're always just so well crafted. Like
Mhm.
from the storytelling to the illustrations to like the
The audio mixing is
Yeah.
everything about it, man, is amazing. Like I even like I love I don't know if have you ever seen My Neighbor Totoro?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The just like literally how quiet the film is.
Yeah.
Like especially near the beginning. There's no like need to kind of be like blow your ears out with music or like
Yeah.
have something always going on. Just like the pitter patter of kids running across like a hardwood floor
Yeah.
and like just like simulating real life family interaction.
It's funny how like even though it's like a hand-drawn illustrated film, on all the other senses it feels so much more real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like especially auditorily. Like when you're listening, like whoever does the sound mixing for Studio Ghibli really needs. I'm sure he has lots of awards. Actually.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because like, man, yeah, I agree. It's less like it's telling a story, but it's not necessarily putting on a show at every moment.
What's
You
your
know what I
favorite Ghibli movie?
mean? I want to say, it's a tough one, but probably Princess Mononoke.
Hey, nice.
It's-
Me too,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
hell
wicked.
yeah.
I fucking love that movie. I watch it every year, like probably more than once a year too. Like just the social commentary of it all is
Mm-hmm.
really gets me, and like just I don't know what it is about how they portray evil,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Like you're
just-
talking about sound design here, like the voices of like the monkey spirits
yeah,
out on like the ridge, and they're just kind of like this amorphous blob that's
and the
just
Boar
like
King.
so like pitch shifted low. Their
Yeah.
voice, it's spooky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and fuck, they ever pull like it's like that Studio Ghibli is legit because of the fact that every time they make a film, there is a fucking lineup of like award-winning actors who
Mhm.
want to be in that movie as voice actors.
Yeah,
Like the newest one that's coming out, what's it called? The Boy and the Heron?
Boy and the Heron. Yeah.
Who is it? Willem Dafoe, Christian Bale,
Mhm.
Florence Pugh, Dave Bautista's in it even. Like
sick.
Mark Hamill is in
Yeah.
it too. Like they just like people just want to be involved with that because
Yeah.
there's just like it's another medium, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason it's just like for people feel here that and of course it's like way better now than it was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago or whatever, but there's that like, oh, it's either for kids or for stoners, like watch some Family Guy or
South Park.
South Park or something.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, it's just like it's just another medium. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever draw any of your own mangas?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I started like many times over. It's like it's a project that I have on kind of a back burner right now. I really would love to I wanted to make a like fully voice acted and colorized animatic basically
Cool.
as like a pilot episode for a series I've just been mulling on since high school.
Nice.
Yeah. Revisited it. I have like the first episode script and like the first season kind of laid out in an arc, but
Cool,
it's kind of
man.
been on the back burner for a little bit right now.
Look, we should see if
Yeah.
we can take it off the back burner and get it moving for you. That'd be cool.
Hell yeah.
Fucking, I mean, we know a few different people who could help you out with that. I mean, you even know like Avery, voice actor. She's fucking
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good at that stuff. What do you what kind of things do you think you need to get it moving again?
I feel like it one thing that would help incredibly is a background artist because
Background or something.
yeah, because I don't feel like backgrounds have ever been my forte. I've definitely drawn some that I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, but
like,
you're more of a caricature kind
yeah,
of.
I feel like I tend to focus more on the characters and like just like for a long time there, all I drew was faces and like and of course I try to like expand on that, but yeah, if like somebody was helping out with background art and then like getting because where did I really leave it off? I was storyboarding everything, and I think it's like really just getting myself to sit down and finish the storyboard. I'm like
Can
a
I ask
third of the
you-
way through the episode.
Can I ask you what it's about? What's the
Oh
synopsis?
yeah, absolutely.
Hit me with this. Let me hear this.
Let's see if I can do this without it sounding convoluted. Basically, there is a fantasy world called Hystasia, and our main character, Talon, he lives in a small village with his grandpa, and he's living a fairly ordinary life. He's a fairly quiet and reserved kid. He really wants to become a hunter. Like, it's an esteemed role to play in the village, and they do other things beyond hunting, but they like provide and they're more like rangers.
Cool.
In a way. And what's going on in the land is that there was a king and a queen of the land. The queen, she had tapped into magic, almost like it's called arc. It's very much like the Force in certain ways.
Cool.
There's different ways you can utilize it, but basically the king and queen have a very, very big falling out. She ends up getting locked up and passing away, and the king's daughter, Princess Ophelia, wants to. She's heard of a legend of these magical stones that can bring people back to life, and she's just on a tirade through the kingdom to to find these stones, going village after village, tearing it apart, killing everyone, and like
Wow.
doing whatever she can to find these stones till she comes upon our main character's village while he's out of town on a mission with the hunters. They kind of take him in after they realize that he might have some of these magical abilities. A little bit of in touch with the arc.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like Force sensitive almost, something like that.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we should probably like. There have been creatures showing up. You have this weird ability. We should get you to the king, see what they say about this whole situation.
Now,
And
are you playing the demon card as far as like creatures and what's the word I'm looking for? Antagonist goes and stuff like that, or is it like something more like
It's
what's the origin? I guess is
it's I mean, it could be described as demonic, yeah, for sure. Because there's actually I've like some of the creatures involved are kappa, which are like a traditional Japanese
yep,
uh
demon.
demon,
Yep.
and the uh the the man who crafted the stones basically has tapped into an evil realm that like has all these creatures, and he's hiding at the precipice. He's been cast to this precipice because this power that he created to revive people with his like sorcery stones that are imbued with the ark are
Cool.
kind of got him in some hot water with the gods. They're like,
The god. Oh, sick.
you can't
Cool.
bring people back to life. This ain't cool. So they like put him into this weird purgatory realm. But
Sounds epic as hell.
letting creatures on in, and Princess Ophelia will do literally anything just to get her mom back. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Cool, man. So it sounds like almost like an Inuyasha type vibe in a sense.
yeah,
Yeah?
definitely.
Cool.
It was some inspiration from Inuyasha and like
Nice.
Naruto and stuff. Yeah.
Cool, man. Very cool. Ah, that's awesome, man. I'm like you. You really don't cease to amaze me, dude. Like you seem to be like you got your fingers and everything, eh?
Yeah, like it's a lot of fun, but it's probably to my detriment sometimes too. Where I'm just like, oh, I have all these ideas for this project, and then okay, well maybe okay, I got a third of the way through the storyboard. Now I want to do something different.
Sounds like you belonged on this podcast.
Yeah,
That's the running theme of what I do, man. I just fucking lived a whole life of that. I like one of the main symptoms or effects, telltale signs of ADHD is like they call them 90%ers because like they'll get 90% of the way,
hmm
and then the other 10% just seems so fucking hard, so they just move on to something else that is also interesting. You know,
yeah.
constantly going from thing to thing to thing. But at least you managed to keep yours like in the realm of like arts and like it seems
Mm,
like visual art and music seem to be like very much like
yeah,
in tune to you. That's
yeah.
cool.
It's just a lot of fun to play in that world. I mean, like, yeah, kind of. Um, my brother shares a lot of those similar passions. Like he freaking he's constantly he plays D&D, and he'll create like all kinds of crazy worlds himself. Like he's just all kinds of story ideas.
Fucking sweet, dude.
Yeah.
That must be cool. Like being able to do some creative stuff with your family. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Would love to get him on, like working on some of the same stuff. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wicked, man. Fucking cool. Okay, so let's jump away from the manga for a bit. I do introduce this podcast as a source of stimulating one's own deficit with good chats and life hacks.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had a pretty good chat.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask you about what life hacks, if any, you found that have like kind of helped you to get through your days and like make things easier. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
are there any things that you've found in your process that helps you to stay focused or to provide inspiration or just
Yeah.
get through a day? Like anything really. It doesn't have to be on any particular topic, but if there are things that you find are like just good life hacks for you,
Yeah, absolutely.
enlighten me.
I mean, like for a big help for myself, honestly, has because of that. Like, oh, I want to just I just follow whatever I'm super passionate about. Like, creating lists really helps me like crazy.
Lists?
Yeah,
Okay.
lists. I use my notes app in my phone, and just like literally even a day off, I'll be like, okay, so like I'll to keep myself motivated, I'll just put like the stuff I want to do in the day, and like the big stuff, and then also all the little stuff, so it's like easier to tackle, you
Do
know.
you start each day like that? You make a list
A
or
lot of days off, yeah.
cool?
Just to like keep me doing something. Of course, like, taking rest is like another important thing that I've like found in the last while, because of like getting into film and like just pushing as hard as I could, like, at first was,
Yeah.
like, incredibly,
Taxing.
taxing, yeah, and then it's just like, okay, well, it's like, you can try and do all these things, and that's great and all, but, like, you really have to, like, when you need rest, you take rest, you, like,
Yeah.
if you have a chill day, that's fine too, but yeah, I'll find, like, if I wanna get something done in a day, I'll, like, literally have, like, shower, eat breakfast, go on walk, work on this project, text this
Cool.
person, so
Yeah.
it's like, I actually yeah.
That's something I definitely need to try and adopt into my lifestyle a lot more. I have a problem with linear thinking, and I have done lists before, and they have been very effective. I just keep on. It's like my whole like I just get distracted. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it seems like it takes a little while to form a habit, but I assume you've been doing
Mhm.
it for long enough that it's kind of
Yeah,
viewed in a good
yeah.
way.
It was, a couple years now,
Nice.
and yeah, it's like everything from, like, like, what I'll do in a day to, like, I'm working on a new album that I wanna put out
Oh,
in, early 2024,
okay.
and, like, I have, all the track lists laid out and, like, what I kinda wanna do with each one, and then, like,
Wicked.
yeah, and just, like, organizing
Yeah.
because I'm not very organized, so if I focus on the organizing part, I can just kinda figure out the rest.
Sounds like a pretty good life hack, man. That's
Yeah.
one that I've heard before. Lists are like fucking supposed to like really help you unlock your potential.
Yeah, and it's like if it works for you too, like it's just like because it's even I tried it's so weird, like it's down to even the like very app that you use. Like I tried it on Google Drive for a while, or
Yeah.
not Drive, Docs,
Yeah.
Google Docs, and it was just like wasn't the same as Notes. I was just like, this just works for me. I'll use
Yeah, the
Notes.
keep
Yeah.
notes is I do use keep notes mostly for remembering things, not so much for like planning my day out. I find at least for me when I do make lists, writing them is it helps me engage more with it, I think. And I have
hmm
terrible penmanship, so it's like no one else can read these things but me, but something
Yeah,
about that process.
like physically writing it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just the muscle to memory thing or whatever, but like I've always found that to be like a little more engaging for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but my penmanship is fucking awful. I try to hang a list on like I made a list last year of things that I needed to get done before the end of the year. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've been putting
Yeah.
off, whatever, and I taped it to my fridge because for some reason my fridge is magnetic. I can't use a fridge magnet on my fridge.
Oh,
Fucking weird. Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
But I
But
get
now,
home and like look at it, and it's just an eyesore because it looks like just a giant doctor's prescription. It's just like fucking
well, the thing
awful.
is, like, nobody knows what the fuck you're getting up to. They can't see what's
Yeah,
what's
it's true.
scheduled ahead. So
I
you're
guess
like,
I am
it's just for
technically
me.
writing in my own code.
Yeah,
Hey, it's like
exactly.
fucking some kind of like glyphs or some shit.
Yeah, that's why I can't do the written one because yeah, I think it'll like put me in that same space where I'm just like, this looks like like when I write by hand, I'm like, oh man, looks like a 8-year-old wrote this. Like,
Awesome, man. Well, that's a good life hack. Okay, cool. Um, what would you tell somebody who's trying to do music, like someone who's trying to like break into like getting around to actually doing it? What do you
um,
think is one of the things that has helped you the most in keeping your creativity at a certain level?
yeah, it's tough to say. I feel like just like again to almost keep on like point with it's just like make something just like
Yeah,
whatever it is, like even if it's not great, like maybe you just work on something for a couple hours and you walk away and you come back and you're like, I hate this, and that's fine. You just scrap it and like
start
do
again.
do something different, like get a music program, like I forget what I was using in high school, but it was free. It was just like, and yeah, music program. YouTube tutorials are incredible. Like the amount of information that's out there for free is insane. Um, and yeah, make something that you're enjoying. Try not to worry too much about like what other people will think about it.
Cool, man.
Yeah, that's
What's one thing you'd change in your own music?
um
Like whether it be instruments to play or like knowledge you wish you would have gained earlier.
I feel like and I'm trying to do this more, and it's just like have uh have fun with it
There you
as
go.
you're like
Okay.
moving along, as you're like playing. I think that learning more physical skills and proper like song structure and like the actual
Yeah.
ins and outs of production has been like more important. Again, like I hit those YouTube tutorials and I'm like, okay, so like this is like a little note on like mixing that I can like actually nail down.
Cool.
Whereas before it was like just like frequencies, stepping on other frequencies, and like
Yeah.
stuff was just like a little bit muddy. Yeah.
Out of phase in a sense.
Yeah.
It's a really deep science doing all the like working with music programs. Like I just play guitar for the most part. Like
Yeah.
I can fuck around on a bass because it's just a guitar with 4 strings. I can play drums.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to anything involving like digital music creation, I am lost. I took an audiovisual course in high school and like did some. It was mostly Fruity Loops actually that we used back then.
Oh yeah.
It was
Nice.
yeah, that's what we used for our course. And like I mastered a track at one point, but all that's like so far gone now. Like it's like what? It's like 2011 would have been when I was doing this. That's like 12 years ago now. So pretty much VHS to CDs.
Yeah.
Sort of vibe. Like
big tech jump.
Yeah. And I keep on like I've got a computer that could handle it, but I'm still pretty intimidated by like the taking on that kind of task.
No, I feel you. And almost like to mirror that, like I feel like I'm very intimidated by like trying to learn a physical instrument and like
YouTube tutorials, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And like just being like, okay, I'm gonna just practice the keyboard, practice like the physical media, because like computer stuff has always just come a lot easier.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that translates from like the skills you kind of grow up with translating into what aspect of music, if you decide to get into music, what aspect of it you're going to, I guess,
be more comfortable in.
Or like learn quicker.
Right.
Like I was always good at when I could pick something up and feel it and hold it and like see it and understand how it works that way.
A
lot easier for me to learn. I see a guitar, I pluck a string, I'm like, oh, that's the sound that string makes. And then next thing you know, you're learning chord structures and stuff. But if I was to go on to something like Ableton or like, fucking Adobe Premiere, or even if I had an MPC pad, like I have a Boss GT8 multi-effects pedal out there.
Oh, nice. Fuck yeah.
I'm having a hard enough time just figuring that out. It's tricky. I had to factory reset it because it had all the prior owner's settings on there. I had no idea how to use it. I still hardly do. I can get the tuner going.
Nice.
And I know how to access all the effects banks now. It's just like the saving it all and like, all the technical details, I guess, is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
It's tricky though.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. It's all skills that take time to hone. Yeah.
Well, how about we let these people see what you're made of, and we'll move on to this performance of yours.
Sounds like a wicked time.
Sound good?
Yeah,
okay.
Sounds good, man.
Why don't you go ahead, look into this camera here, give a shout out to whoever you want, toss your handles out there, tell people to check your shit out. It's really good stuff. Really. You gotta check it out. Go ahead.
Thanks, man. Follow me at Cinessence, basically everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, and Threads.
Twitch?
Yeah, Twitch. We're getting back on there very soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you got an EP coming out next year.
Yeah. Full on album coming out early 2024.
Nice.
Look out for it on SoundCloud and Spotify.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emilio Rodriguez. It's been great having you on, and I'm looking forward to watching this show.
Thanks, Adam.
Okay, guys.
Buddy.
Talk to you guys later. Hope that was a good conversation for you, and I'll be back again next week with someone else. Bye now.
Bye.
you that plot